In 1925, the Eiffel Tower was sold to a scrap metal dealer. The news was that the tower will be torn down, melted, and be reused as scrap metal after it's removed from the Parisian skyline. For the scrap dealer, this was the opportunity of a lifetime, leading to riches that he couldn't imagine before. There was only one problem. The tower wasn't really for sale. He was conned by a man called Victor Lustig, who would go down in history, known as the man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice. Confidence tricks aren't new. They're as old as history. They don't require any specialized technology. They only require a deep knowledge and understanding of the human psyche. Executed with good enough skill, almost anyone is guaranteed to fall for them. This is the context, and today we're going to look into the anatomy of a con. So what is a con anyway? What makes a confidence trick work? All good cons start with a promise. In Lustig's case, this was the idea that the Eiffel Tower was in fact for sale. Now, as much as it's hard to imagine for us today, back in those days in 1925, the Eiffel Tower was in terrible shape. And there was news articles and discussions about getting rid of it. Lustig had the right idea that if he can play on this gossip, he can convince someone that the Eiffel Tower is in fact obtainable, but only through him. The promise essentially has to exploit two things. One, that of human greed, but the second one is our fantasies. Money, for the most of us, is not the ends, it's just a means to an end. Confidence tricksters will paint up elaborate fantasies of what you can obtain if only you trust the con man. You can see this playing out today in get-rich-quick schemes, whether they are multi-level marketing or NFT scams.
No. It's gone. Just gone. My savings, my house, but I have this little green panda bear on a skateboard.
The idea is the same. It exploits human greed, but it also plays on the fantasy on what's obtainable through this money. They also rely on something called FOMO, fear of missing out. After all, most of these scams only work because seemingly there's so many people hyping them up and believing in them. And after all, 10 million flies can't be wrong, can they? The second part of the con is called the convincing phase. As the promises sounds too good to be true, you need some sweet talking to sweeten the deal. In Lustig's case, he had invited a group of French businessmen. He had told them that the Eiffel Tower was becoming too expensive to maintain and Paris is considering of getting rid of it. But he had said that no information is to be revealed as they are fearing a public outcry. He further elaborated that he was in charge in picking of who would ultimately claim ownership of the tower and be the beneficiary of the deal. He was making the businessmen feel as if they are part of the secret club. In fact, con men would frequently ask their marks to commit more and more of their own personal resources. The logic behind this is called the sunk cost fallacy. The more and more committed you are to a scam, the least likely you are to realize that you are getting conned. We can see this playing out in modern days in the form of multi-level marketing as well as NFT scams, or frequently in crypto rug pulls in the form of holding. The idea behind it is that good things come to those who wait, except in the case of cons, no they don't. The third and final phase of the con is called the rug pull or the fallout phase. After the con man has successfully convinced their mark to fall for the trap, that's when they make away with the money. In Lustig's case, he has convinced one of the businessmen to hand him over 70,000 francs as a form of a bribe to make the deal happen. Once he had received the funds, he just bolted for Austria. Lustig calculated that his victim will be too embarrassed to actually inform the French police of the crime. Just in case though, he monitored the French press, and he was right. There was no mention of him, neither the crime or the Eiffel Tower being sold at all. Once he felt that the air is clear enough, he returned to Paris, and he sold the Eiffel Tower again.
First rule of magic. Always be the smartest guy in the room.
And that's the thing with cons. The loss is not necessarily just financial. It's the psychological pain we have to endure once our trust has been breached. This is why victims of fraud and confidence tricks don't frequently come out in public. They're too embarrassed to do so. Once our trust has been violated, people frequently feel ashamed. How could I have been so dumb?
I just can't do it. I can't take this no more, man.
And we can see this play out in public as well. Victims of cons frequently feel ashamed of themselves, and they're often made fun of in public. But should they be though? With the amount of scams and cons and the financial stakes at hand, the situation might be a bit more serious than for it to be a laughing matter. Thank you for watching The Context. I was your host Gergő Varga, and I hope to see you very soon.